TC America, powered by Skip Barber, returns to Virginia International Raceway for round 7 and 8 of the season. As the field charges into their second day of action at VIR, there's opportunity for some drivers to steal some points after attrition yesterday. Hi, everybody, and welcome to beautiful VIR. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Calvin Fish, Amanda Busick on the pit lane, and Ash Vandelay on the Twitch stream. Calvin, welcome back to VIR for the second day of our three-class race here in TC America.
Yeah, great to be back here, and we had a shocker yesterday. Chris Walsh didn't win.
Yeah, for the first time this season. That was big news yesterday, but I don't think he's going to let that happen again.
No, he didn't. He wasn't ready to go when for the formation laps. We had to start at the back of the field. Had a great run through, charged up to second, but great to see Celso Neto grab his first victory of the season.
And part of that was because of the preceding Pirelli GT4 America race. That was meant he was a little bit late to the grid, but we were late to start the race yesterday after an issue on the pace lap for the number 71 FTG racing car of Joey Jordan had us starting behind the safety car. So that delayed the start a few laps. But once we got racing, there were some excellent battles, both in TC and in TCA. But let's check in with Chris Walsh, who's down on pit lane with Amanda Busick.
Yeah, we're not always afforded the opportunity to talk to drivers ahead of this race, but we do have a little bit of time. So, Chris, they were saying not a win for you yesterday, what was shocking, but, man, did you drive through that field and get that fastest lap that puts you here on pole? What did you learn about yourself yesterday?
Well, you know, it was it's always a challenge to come from the back of the grid. It was good. It was a good mental exercise to say, hey, I got to be calm, even though I made a mental mistake to be on the grid on time and just dig in and, you know, make sure I keep the car under me and don't overdrive. And so I found a new way to be aggressive but not too aggressive. So that was you know, a good learning experience. Even though I wanted to be winning, you know, that's okay. I learned a lot.
How is this BMW? How does it come to life towards the back half of this race?
Yeah, I mean, we really do well on tire deg, and I can keep the car under me, and it has a lot of ways I can get the car to rotate. So I'm not leaning on one side of the car more than the other, and that balance is pretty key to the long run.
Good luck to Chris Ross, and Celso Neto will try to see what he can do with this BMW today. But when you look at the other classes, the winners on each of the TC and TCA class, they will start on pole today, guys.
Thanks, Amanda, and really cool to check in with the driver right before they fire the engines here, Calvin. But I mentioned the attrition in the intro there. A couple drivers unable to get their cars restored and repaired here for today. Joey Jordan, of course, had that fire on the pace lap. The number 9 TCA car, that, of course, is Maddie Lemke. She has not been feeling well here this weekend. Of course, the 39 TCX Acura wasn't able to be repaired after its incident yesterday. And Aaron Kaplan's car had an electrical issue that they could not solve, but they should be back at Road America.
Yeah, so a little thinner field than we're used to here, but nonetheless, they can still put on a show, so it'll be interesting to get the green flag here and see what everyone can do. For Celso Neto, can he, you know, step up and beat Chris Walsh on even terms? Chris, obviously, from the back of the red. It's still a victory. Celso did everything right. He paced that Acura perfectly to grab the win, but let's see if he's got anything with Chris under more normal conditions here today.
Engines are fired down on the pit lane as our field gets set to go racing. I think one of the stories also is in TC. It's a Rika Autosport field there with a couple entries from the Mini JCW team with Scott Thompson and Christian Pericarpi. So Jeff Ricca obviously had a great race yesterday, but Christian Pericarpi will have to give him a shot here, as well as Ruben Iglesias Jr. and Ron Zaris. So we're here at this Virginia International Raceway track built back in 1957. It's a 3.27-mile circuit, Calvin, and there's a lot of amazing corners here at this racetrack, but it's fast. It's a momentum track here for these TC cars.
Yeah, beautiful facility, just over 3¼ miles in length, 17 turns, very challenging. A lot of the brake zones that you encounter here are not your typical just straight line braking and arc into a corner. You're turning as you approach there. That really makes it tricky, and really tricky to race with and make an overtaking move. But you can see there the names that they're given, some really cool names that we've got here. But 7, 8, 9, and 10 up through there. There's no name there on there. We call them the climbing S's. That is such a beautiful ribbon of asphalt. I mean, it's really challenging, flat out all the way to turn 10, then you're down a gear and fire it through there, then really slowing things down. Really critical corner is Oak Tree. The Oak Tree no longer exists, of course, on the inside of that corner there, but it's named the same, and that gets you down the back straight, which is known as Madison Avenue. So there's some high-speed sections, high-speed corners, but also some areas where it's very technical, and you need to really have the car dialed in for that.
Yeah, it's a very fast racetrack, even for these TC America powered by Skip Barber cars. Of course, this is a bit of a home track also for Skip Barber. Racing School. They've got Alex Garcia in the number 14, who was the winner yesterday in TCA. So we'll see if he can repeat that performance here as well. And let's take a look at the race from yesterday. We mentioned the attrition, but it was kind of a wild race in the first race. And here is a look. It started before the green flag even dropped. The number 71 FTG racing car of Joey Jordan on fire. Jumped out of the car. He was okay, but that car was not able to continue on for the rest of the weekend. Then on the initial start, the TCA field had a great fight there for the early moments of race 1 with Alex Garcia fighting PJ Gronke. There is the 104 Chris Walsh, who had to start at the tail of the field, charging through the rest of the pack on his way forward in the 40-minute race in race 1. In the TC field, it was Ricca Autosport against Christian Pericarpi and Scott Thompson. This is newcomer Ron Zaris fighting Scott Thompson for a while. There's Walsh going by the number 19 at Cooper Broll on his charge up through the field as he continued his climb. In TC, it was Jeff Ricca leading Christian Pericarpi. For some time, Pericarpi gave it his all, but a late full course yellow gave the 22 of Celso Neto his first win on the season. And Alex Garcia and Jeff Ricca winning their respective classes. So the field working their way around for their second of 2 pace laps. And as they work their way towards turn 1, let's have a look at our starting lineup here for today's TC America powered by Skip Barber race number 2. On the front row of TCX, it's Chris Walsh and Celso Neto going to go back to battle here today, with Walsh actually starting on the front row this time. Cooper Broll rolls off alongside in row 2 with number 19 TCX car. Jeff Ricca is on pole in the TC category in his Hyundai Elantra N1 TC, with Christian Pericarpi trying to get ahead of all the Ricca Autosport cars because he's flanked by Ruben Iglesias Jr. on his right side. Ron Zaris making his first start in TC America powered by Skip Barber here this weekend alongside Sally McNulty in row number 4. In row number 5, it's Scott Thompson in the other Mini JCW team car, the 66, and Alex Garcia in the TCA class. Of course, he got his win yesterday in that category after PJ Gronke and Alan Grossberg weren't able to finish the race, but they're going to restart race 2 right behind yesterday's winner in the Honda Civic SI. Lights are out on the Toyota GR Super Safety Car, Calvin. That means next time by, we go racing. And with 3 cars in TCX, Celso Neto's goal is clear. Keep in touch with that Karis Callis Race Team 104.
Yeah, let's see what he can do on the opening lap, see if he can grab the lead. But I think Chris Walsh is going to be tough to beat here. What I'm really looking forward to, actually, is Jeff Ricca and Christian Pericarpi renewing their battle yesterday, because even though Jeff Ricca got the victory in the championship, Christian in a really fast mini was doing a great job with it. So let's see who tweaked on what, if they've closed the gap a little bit. They were only separated by less than half a tenth yesterday in terms of fastest laps. So Jeff Ricca just marginally quicker, but Christian is right there.
And they were really nip and tuck yesterday. And the differences between the Mini and the Hyundai, they're both front drive 4-cylinder turbo cars, but the wheelbase is a little bit longer, the distance between the front and rear wheels on the Hyundai than the Mini. And they have advantages in different places, and in particular, the Hyundai Elantra N that Jeff Ricca was driving seemed to have a major advantage into roller coaster in the braking.
Yeah, and just very different cars, as you said, different wheelbase, different platforms, going to perform differently around this really exciting racetrack. But over the lap, they were very evenly matched. Let's see how they shape up here today.
So TC America, powered by Skip Barber's Race 2. There's still plenty to go left in the season with trips to Road America, Barber Motorsports Park, and the season finale at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But to finish off round 7 and 8 here, we're back at Virginia International Raceway. Into the VP acceleration zone for the TCX category. Split starts here in this group. Chris Walsh slowing the TCX field way down, but green flag, we're racing in TC America, powered by Skip Barber at Virginia International Raceway. And a great launch in their single file in the run down to turn 1. Here comes Celso Neto with a lunge.
Looks to the outside, he's on the outside braking line, more rubber there, he can brake a little bit deeper. Nice clean start by everyone.
And the TC field as well, off into the first corner. Jeff Ricca on the inside, Pericarpi on the outside. Ron Zaris and Sally McNulty teammates here this weekend in similar Hyundai Elantras, and Scott Thompson watching all of it from 9th in TC.
Pericarpi's right there, right in the shadow there of Jeff Ricca as they head into the left-hander.
Ron Zaris, again, you might know him from Hoonigan, of course, trying to work his way into the TC America Powered by Skip Barber team. And now up the snake for the first time here. The TCX field leads the way, Walsh and Neto, and now it's BMW versus Acura Integra.
Yeah, Neto really keeping Chris Walsh honest here on this opening lap. He's right there, just trying to think, where do I have an advantage possibly? See the hood kind of fluttering there in the wake of the BMW in front of him.
The Acura is a new car this season, Calvin, and it's really shown its performance potential. Very different car than this leading BMW. Rear drive in the BMW, front drive in the Acura. They fundamentally have some different dynamics to work with as well.
They do. Looked like Neto had a little twitch there through turn 10, and it looked like Chris Walsh had a little bit of understeer through turn 11, so I don't think either car is quite into its sweet spot just yet.
And recently, Acura had one of these Integra Type S TCX cars climbing up Pikes Peak with Catherine Legge behind the wheel. That was a big day for them to demonstrate the capabilities of these cars even at altitude. But here today, the altitude changes are a little less, and you get a lap 2 this time around. But Neto trying to keep touch with Chris Walsh. How much is the draft going to affect these cars in TCX?
Oh, I think it certainly has a big effect. You know, unfortunately, you know, when you get into a really hot weekend, it's a little bit cooler today, but in the heat of Thursday and Friday, it's difficult for the cars to draft. You'll see some cars literally step out of line because if a lot of these production-based race cars will shut down if you see too high temperatures, so you got to be conscious of that. But a little bit lower ambient temperature here this morning. Here's the battle for the TC lead, just as I was hoping for. Pericarpi keeping the pressure on Jeff Ricker down into turn 1 around the outside. Looks like Ricker's struggling a little bit of understeer there as they go through turn 2. Pericarpi to the inside. He may be able to make a move by the time they get to turn 3, and he clears him.
And Ricker's going to do the over-under into turn 3. Big lunge
risky.
there.
That is risky, Kyle, as you know.
And Pericarpi picked up that left rear wheel on exit. He was hauling through NASCAR Bend, but Pericarpi gets the job done. Ricker tried to respond, but he was unable.
He wasn't. There's not a lot of love lost between these two. If you reflect back to the Indy finale at the end of last year, Jeff really felt that maybe his championship charge was thwarted by Christian's aggressive nature, and I think you could see it right there. Christian had the lead. He intended to keep it, and he's taken off here a little bit.
Yeah, he really has extended that gap quite a ways. And I think that lunge into turn 3 might have cost Ricker even more, but Pericarpi will need a bit of an advantage, I think, because we saw that 78 get stronger throughout the rest of the race yesterday.
Cooper Broll there sitting 3rd in TCX and overall, so Christian has the lead. We saw Jeff Ricker's car come alive a little bit later, sort of mid-part of the race here yesterday, so I think he's going to just sit there and just let the race come back to him a little bit, but Christian will be fired up to have the lead and a healthy one here.
Ruben Iglesias Jr. running in 3rd in TC in that shot there, the blue Hyundai Elantra. He came into this weekend leading the championship standings, but of course after yesterday, things have changed around a touch. But Pericarpi now out front. Led a little bit yesterday, but wasn't able to repass Jeff Ricker after he was passed a few laps into the race. Although he really was on his tailpipes like the mosquito in the ear for a couple minutes, and Jeff Ricker tried to slap him away. Eventually was able to, but it wasn't easy.
It was not easy. It was really close. The cars seemed really evenly matched. I think the BOP changed a little bit on the Mini for this weekend, which has got them back in the game.
There was a power adjustment as well as some kilograms dropped out of the Mini as we get a look at Alex Garcia leading in TCA, the Skip Barber Racing School Honda Civic SI. This is a fantastic car for drivers that are learning or really just want the competition of effectively stock powertrain race cars, which are hard to get nowadays, but that car is a great deal that you can actually get from a Honda dealer. I gotta probably know a guy, but they are still really neat cars. And go back to this TC battle, Ricker's closed back in.
He has. Pericarpi kind of scampered off there momentarily, but as I anticipated, Jeff Ricker just kind of gets back into his groove here, just knuckles down, gets back with the program, and just a long way to go in this race. I'm sure he's got thoughts of still winning.
Up into the climbing S's now, and these two cars fairly evenly matched in some parts of the circuit, but elsewhere I think that 78 is a bit more stable. And into South Bend here at the top of the hill, the track drops away on the run down to Oak Tree, and it's these cornered braking zones you were talking about, Cal, that are maybe a challenging spot for the 37.
Yeah, they really are. There you can see the right rear kind of hopping its way through that corner there. Short wheelbase Mini. You're asking a lot of these platforms to get through navigate these corners here.
Up Madison Avenue now, Jeff Ricker. He was close into Oak Tree. I thought he might have a launch at this 37 into roller coaster, but wasn't able to close it in on corner exit. There's Ruben Iglesias, as we mentioned, and I think he'll be ready to pick up some pieces if this front battle gets dramatic.
Yeah, he's been super consistent this year. Ruben has a couple of wins. He got his 6th podium here yesterday on top of the 2 wins, so that's what kept him right in this points game. Came into this weekend with the lead, but there you can see it's kind of swung back Jeff Ricker's way. And as they run right now, he had the lead coming in this morning. He's extending that a little bit, even by running in 2nd position, does Jeff Ricker.
And Christian Pericarpi could start to eat into the advantage that those Ricca Autosport cars have if he can grab a couple of victories and start to turn things around. There's still enough time left in the season to really create a different narrative, I feel.
Jeff Ricker really deep on the brakes there, kind of squirming around there. He's trying to arrest that speed down into turn 1, fastest part of this racetrack, along with the end of Madison Avenue as well. Pretty equal in terminal speed at those 2 spots on this racetrack.
Really, this is the battle that we thought we would see, and we're already seeing it. And there's 33 minutes to go in this 40-minute race, and something tells me that the next 33 minutes we'll probably see a lot more of this battle because they are just so even and equal. And the great thing about it, Cal, is that the cars are making speed in different ways, but they're all in that same performance window that the balance of performance is all about.
Yeah, that's why it's such a great job that the technical committee who puts all of the rules and regs in place do to see that we see very different platforms, equal on lap time. How you get there and how you achieve it is different. But you know, it's a constant tweaking. As cars get developed, you have to arrest some speed and bring a little back to the table for some others. But at the end of the day, it provides great racing and a great spectacle.
You mentioned earlier that overnight teams will be making tweaks to these cars to try to figure out what they can do to be better for the next day. For the 37 of Christian Pericarpi, what knobs are they turning in that 37 to find some extra speed?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's really all about the feedback that Christian would have in terms of, well, this is where Jeff is a little bit quicker than me. Can we tune this car up? Some cars just inherently have an imbalance or have a compromise that you just have to work with. It's not like you can reinvent the wheel overnight, but look how tight it is there into the brake zone for the roller coaster. But it's just subtle changes. Could be a tire pressure, you know, setting in terms of how you start the race. Being a little bit less aggressive with that on the front end and giving you more pace towards the end. But getting the track position is key. So Christian's car has come alive early. He made that move and got around Jeff. But can he hang on? Does his car deteriorate a little bit in terms of the balance? So very subtle adjustments. I'm not sure exactly what makes the Mini tick, but that team certainly does.
I'd have to imagine that the way that this car is set up as far as the camber and caster, the alignment in general is probably pretty sensitive on a short wheelbase car. And you see the front tires are really cambered in pretty aggressively compared to the Hyundai. I wonder how much that is a factor as far as finding turn in.
Yeah, and all of that is controlled as well. You just can't, you know, suddenly crank in an extra 2 degrees of camber, for example. I mean, all of that is checked in tech post-race. So if you start getting too aggressive and crossing that gray line, I mean, you can get thrown out here if you change too much on the race car. So you got to be really on top of things. Yes, this is ideally what we need. Let's get it on the setup pad. Let's double check that this is going to get through tech post-race and not lose the win.
And corner balancing and things of the sort as well. Really just getting the car to balance well. I mean, the power and weight regulated so closely by the series. But let's check in with Amanda Busick down on pit lane, who's got more. Amanda?
Yeah, and talking to the Mini team, many adjustments that they made to Christian Pericarpi, said that it was very minor, only made a few adjustments into the damper settings, but said that Christian's hunger is more alive today, guys.
Well, that's an adjustment you can make too, Calvin, is how hungry you are. And I think maybe after coming up short yesterday, that'll...
Maybe not feed him last night.
Yeah, go get it, right? I mean...
A little bit of weight saving and make the boy hungry.
Give you a breakfast the race quicker.
Late.
Up this Madison Avenue straightaway, though, and you know, Amanda mentioned the changes to the dampers as well as Jeff Ricca closes in again. This is where that advantage has been for the 78, is into roller coaster. And I think really if he can get overlap, Calvin, he'll have a shot at it. Yeah,
it's just when you're turning and braking, that longer wheelbase should help you out. I mean, there's so many other factors in terms of your brake package and everything. It's all about grip, ultimately, but stability in those curving brake zones should be in Jeff Ricca's favor.
Seems like the Mini, though, at least leaving turn 17 and onto the front straightaway, that's where his gap is growing every time. So one of the biggest advantages for the Hyundai leads into one of the biggest advantages for the Mini. So that's why they have been so close nose to tail so far in the first 11 minutes of this race.
Yeah, and I think when you're a driver and you see someone, you're right on their tail and they kind of drive away from you a little bit. It's a little bit of frustration, but it's all about the overall lap. I think Jeff Ricker has enough experience. He knows that the Mini's got a little bit of a gain in performance here this weekend. He's got to deal with it and factor that in and just go about his craft. You can only do what you can do. If someone's got an edge in a certain part of the racetrack, you can't take that away. You've just got to really focus in on where you have the advantage in a different area of this racetrack.
Do you find it easier to be the chasing driver in this scenario or the leading driver?
I like to lead, but you know, there's nothing like a great race trying to really figure out what the person in front of you is doing. Do they have a chink in their armor? Do I have a car performance advantage? And it then becomes a chess match in terms of really setting that up.
As far as the TCA fight for the race lead, Alex Garcia's in that red and white Honda Civic SI, PJ Gronke in the number 62 Mini JCW team car, and PJ's had a phenomenal season so far, a number of wins. Of course, yesterday didn't go there really to the plan, but today they've got that 14 car in sight.
They do. Garcia had his third win of the year yesterday. PJ's got, I think, 4 on his card so far in this championship season, but he recognizes that Garcia is the real deal, coming on the championship trail a little bit later than PJ did. So PJ had things all his own way. So PJ loves his racing. He's always got a smile on his face. See Garcia, they're really twitchy. He's got great car control. He really throws this car around. But I think even though PJ's running second, he's enjoying this battle. He's enjoying having to dig a little bit deeper because that makes you grow as a driver, makes you get the car dialed in more and pushes the bar even higher.
That was a really cool moment for the 14 over South Bend, and the rear end kind of walking around on that Honda Civic SI, Calvin. And it's a front drive car, so the way that you would kind of control that might be a bit different than a rear drive car.
Yeah, you're just going to try and keep your foot in it, basically. Rear wheel drive car, you got to modulate that throttle a little bit, just try and get those rear tires back underneath you, but front wheel drive you kind of pull it out of the slide. Yeah, if you got more experience with the front wheel drive, those moments are going to be more instinctive.
And trouble for the 63 of Alan Grossberg at Oak Tree. He's had a collision with the barriers, but he will pull away from it.
Tricky entry there. Turn 11 is the little right-hander before Oak Tree, and if you get out wide there, you can get in the gray. Let's take a look. Yeah, with the mud, the wet grass there, you're just not going to recover, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was wide and dropped a tire in the dirt, and that I think that car also was in the tire bundles yesterday, so it already had some damage. You always wonder if it just makes the car never really drive the same until they can take it back to the shop and reset it. So struggling perhaps with it today again, but was able to drive away from it as Chris Walsh takes the fastest lap of the race last time out at 2:01.320, and Celso Neto's still in the same camera shot 3 seconds back, but Walsh is right back where he has been.
Yeah, his advantage on the best lap is a couple of tenths. So Neto's run a 2:01.5, and as we saw there, Chris's 2:01.3. So as we anticipated, going to be tough to beat. He got the jumps, also kept him honest there for a lap or two, but now Chris has got into his rhythm and doing what we've been seeing all season long. Super consistent, doesn't seem to make any mistakes, very focused, disciplined, and putting together a great championship season.
There's Celso Neto in the 22. And of course this season had some podium finishes, but yesterday was the big one. They got their first win on the year. And the Acura Integra Type S sees victory lane for the first time, and that was a big win, I think, for the Skip Barber Racing School team. Celso's done a nice job, and really it's just been a hard battle against Chris Walsh this season.
It really has, and great to see them have that victory here on kind of their home base. They got a massive new workshop that they've just completed and opened the doors to here on these premises here at VIR. I think it's like 38,000 square feet or something. Just very, very impressive as you drive in here. So they have big plans. They're doing great things, and obviously their racing schools are renowned for building drivers' careers or just giving you a bucket list day to be at the racetrack, whatever your goals are. But also this racing program is the next step up, and great to see them evolve in that direction.
So battle for the lead in TC continues. Christian Pericarpi and Jeff Ricca still nose to tail, and there's some traffic up the road, but it's lead lap traffic. It's Cooper Broll in the TCX Acura Integra Type S here, Calvin. So we've seen at times these TC cars with their aero and with the drivers in a fierce fight, they can actually catch the tail of the TCX cars.
Yeah, they're really close. I mean, looking at the fastest laps of the day, Cooper Broll there runs in P3 and TCX. His fast lap is a 2:03.0, and we've got 2:03.121 for Christian and 2:03.112 for Jeff Ricca. So Rick has got the advantage by 100th.
It's unbelievably close between these two cars, and it's just been, like as we said, since the drop of the green flag, we knew this was the battle we would be following, and still 15 minutes later, here we are. And up Madison Avenue once more, and I think, is Pericarpi looking forward to getting a toe off that lead Acura, or would he rather not have it in his windshield?
I think he'd probably rather not have it there. I mean, I think he's a bit too far back to really be picking up and get. If you halve that gap, it'd be more significant in terms of the drafting effect. But what he doesn't want to have happen is to Cooper Broll to lose the balance in his race car, reduce his lap time, and then he's got a real problem because that will create a compression here with these three cars. And then he's got to deal with if Cooper's a little bit slower through a certain sector, and with Jeff Ricker right there being able to pounce. But I was hoping for this sort of battle today, and Christian's got that lead and trying to hang on to it. I think he's driving a little bit more steady now. We saw him really hob that right wheel through Elk Tree Corner a few laps ago. Last time through, they looked a little bit more settled down, not asking too much from the race car.
About 6 car lengths between them across the start-finish line with 23 minutes to go here at VIR in TC America, powered by Skip Barber Race 2. And Ricka has just been so close, but you have to figure out where you can find that advantage. I think if he can just get enough overlap into Roller Coaster, I mean, he's outbraking the Mini by 2 corner markers. It's just an unbelievable braking advantage that car seems to have because of that longer wheelbase, but he's not been close enough to get there.
No, he certainly seems to be a little bit quicker. I think he can roll a bit more apex speed everywhere. He's having to control that a bit with Christian being right in front of him. But again, I think Christian, you know, he's aggressive. I think if Jeff goes for it, he's going to fight him, I would think.
Another battle here in TC, Sally McNulty in the Ricka Autosport 780, and then Scott Thompson right behind the Mini JCW team sister car. And this is sort of a reverse of the battle we're watching for the lead.
Yeah, it is. Sally had a little off herself yesterday, just got caught out into turn 3. It was a really tricky corner in the damp conditions, and a little bit of bodywork damage, so they had a hectic day yesterday afternoon and evening, I would assume, to get that car in ship shape and ready to go.
And she's had a couple podiums on the season as well back at Sonoma Raceway, so trying to get back up there as well. Car looks great, easy to spot from a distance. Scott Thompson has been following it since the drop of the green flag. They're both chasing Ron Zaris and Ruben Iglesias Jr. between the battle for the lead and the battle that we're watching here. And there's some more grass and debris hanging from the left front, so maybe she's dipped another tire off course in this race.
Yeah, it looks like he may have had a slight off-course excursion and drug something down there on the front end, but the car seems to be performing well. She's having another really solid day and a solid season, just really has progressed nicely.
This is Ron Zaris again in the 76 Ricka Autosport car. I mentioned this is his first weekend competing in this series. Recently took a Hyundai Ioniq 5N to the top of Pikes Peak back at the tail end of June and set a new record, and actually created a new record for electric. Here
we go. Ricka to the outside, gets the run down the out. Now he's going to tuck her back in. Christian's out really wide. They're going to be side by side as they accelerate off here.
Now Christian's going to keep the inside lane here unless Jeff Ricka can go down to the inside, but not quite there. And I think the 37 was able to roll really good speed on that outside. It opened up a possibility for Ricka to get overlap, but then you keep drivers left into NASCAR Bend.
Yeah, they keep working that corner to try and find the grip, particularly as you get deeper into this stint here. Halfway point in this race coming up. A little bit of not sure if that was off Christian's car or not. There's a little bit of body work there flying.
Scott Thompson around Sally McNulty here in a NASCAR Bend. That's tight as Thompson turns into the corner and Sally runs a little wide there.
It came in there, that acute angle runs a little bit wide on the exit, as you would expect, trying to carry speed through there, but good to see her being racy.
That has been the action spot this weekend, hasn't it, NASCAR Bend?
It really has. It's beautiful. There we see that piece of bodywork there, right on line there, right over that curb there as you come through the snake. So I think that might be a plastic piece versus carbon fiber, which could easily cut down a tire on one of these race cars.
Yeah, it looks like it's one of the wheel arches from one of the Minis. I can't decide if it's from a TC class car, if it's from a TCA. We saw Grossberg in the wall earlier, and he was dragging some pieces, but I thought he lost that part over in turn 12. So
yeah, first time I saw it was when Christian went through, which is obviously a Mini as well, but I'm not sure if he's had any body rub to create any kind of parts flying off. You hear the tires squealing for mercy there through Oak Tree.
At the limit of the Pirelli P0s here, it's really fun to watch. And Of all the cars here this weekend, you know, between the GTs and the TCs, the cornering speeds in the slower corners are not really all that different because it's all at the limit of the Pirelli P0 once the downforce comes off. And here's the battle for TC. Now, see if we can get a look at the 37. The left side looks okay, unless it's something from the inner liner or something, but it looked like the cladding wheel arch from one of the minis, but wondering if perhaps those two came together where we didn't see it and it worked its way loose as he hit the compression over the curbing.
Yeah, quite possibly. I think to your point, I think all four corners in terms of that main wheel arch, that flare, look to be intact. So I'm not sure if there's another bodywork piece that looks similar to that that's just sitting there on the racetrack. I saw it for the first time when Christian was going through that corner. I thought it came from his car, but maybe not. He's just run over something that's been dispatched by someone else.
Well, I guess the good news is it appears to be gone now because it's right where you have to drive. So someone's kick flipped it somewhere else off course, but hopefully that doesn't cut down anyone's tire. And yeah, so we'll see. As the Cooper Broll 19 is kind of kept his distance, so I don't know that Pericarpi and Ricca are going to catch the 19, which I think was a fear that he might have had. A little wide there through South Bend, though, Calvin.
He was. Ricca able to carve the corner a little bit more effectively. I think Jeff's got more pace here at this stage of the game, but he's trying to figure out a solution to this puzzle of Christian Pericarpi right in front of him. And I think, you know, in Jeff's mind, he knows that Christian's aggressive. He knows, like, right now, I've grabbed the championship lead back yesterday after the win last night. Can't afford to have another bad race like he's had that really kind of dumped him out of the championship lead.
Sal McNulty in the 780. As she's gotten back by Scott Thompson.
Has Thompson got an issue there? Is he slowed? Was that the car we saw just in the backdrop?
And it must have been this lap. I don't see anything amiss on this car, but they've certainly traded spots again, and the gap is much bigger.
Yeah, not sure if Thompson had an off, and Sally was able to take advantage.
And that's the 76 of Ron Zaris. He was ahead of them before. So I think Zaris has had a mistake or an issue. You see him slow through the climbing S's. So the pass happened here also. So, Sally took a ride through the grass.
There you go. So she got the position.
Shades of Dale Earnhardt passing the grass there up through the S's. But, well, she made that pass, and that was odd for the 76. It seemed like it was up on power leaving Oak Tree, but just a momentary loss there. Maybe they give it the old Control-Alt-Delete and reset it.
Yeah. Track limits are normally called up through the S's, because normally if you have track limit issues there, you're off in the Toolies, but she did a nice job of just shortcutting the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, really, where else is there to go? The 66 slowed down, and it's hard enough to keep the car on the road trying to aim straight. And if you have to steer around in an obstacle, the easiest way is just to hold wheel straight and drive through the grass. She did a nice job doing that.
Exactly what her team manager said. Oh, look at this. I think Thompson may be having some issues there. The car is really, really squirming around there into that brake zone.
Yeah, and I think for the 76, he must also be dealing with the problem. So he was about 6 seconds off pace last time was Thompson, and then Zaris was more than that. So these two cars are each dealing with something going on in the cockpit, but nothing outwardly clearly wrong.
I mean, it could have just been that Thompson was really deep on the brakes there and just trying to arrest and keep the car under control, but that was a little bit extraordinary to see the car moving around that much into that brake zone there, but he seems to be back up to speed once again.
Chris Walsh continues to lead as he heads down through Hog Pen and back up onto the front straightaway. It's a 7.5 second gap now. And this is just a return to form that we expected. I think yesterday, had he gotten to the car on the grid in time, we might have seen something similar yesterday as well. But this has been so impressive. And Calvin, other team owners in the paddock must be paying attention to this run this year.
Yeah, and he's got the opportunity now in Pirelli GT4 with the Karis Callum team, so he's gradually stepping it up. And yeah, I agree. I think when you dominate, I mean, how do you move on? Well, to really get noticed, you have to put together a dominant season, and that's what Chris has certainly done. And yeah, there's a great ladder system here within the SRO paddock. Pirelli GT4 is the natural next step, which is a two-driver format. But he seems to have all of the tools, doing a nice job. I love the discipline after he last won at Circuit of the Americas. He's immediately thinking about VIR and the brake and getting on the sim and prepping. So he is focused forward. He's a very disciplined young man, it seemed.
Yeah, this car actually has a couple representations that are in the sim world. So, you know, it's one of those cars that you can have a one-to-one correlation in the simulator. And in Assetto Corsa Competizione in particular, which is the official game of the SRO, this car is a part of that. And you can run some of the tracks in the North American Championship, including Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Circuit of the Americas, which is where Chris Walsh was last time out.
I think one of the biggest advocates for sim racing is our current Formula One world champion, Max Verstappen. He gets home from Grand Prix and immediately jumps into his sim because he recognizes that can really teach him a lot and keep him sharp, getting ready for the next race weekend. So can't have a bigger endorsement than that.
Yeah, it's just about getting into the mindset, I think, and keeping the brain thinking about racecraft. And sometimes there's not a one-to-one correlation because of the seat of the pants feel that you're missing, but you have to take different input from a simulator than you do from the real car. And when you get back in the real car, you get a lot more information, so it's only going to be more helpful when you get back behind the wheel. As this battle for fourth in TC is going to fire back up again. It seems like everyone's cars are running in tip-top shape again, so let's do it all over again, I suppose, right?
It's a really good little battle now. It's forming back up. Seems like everyone's car is healthy and working well.
I'm really impressed with Ron Zaris here this weekend. Again, first time running this car in anger in the series, and he's looked very, very composed behind the wheel of this car.
Yeah, and I think he has kind of that drifting background, so to get on a road course in this form of racing, that doesn't really work well in terms of keeping the tires alive for even a 40-minute sprint like we're in here today. So it takes a lot more discipline, and he's done a nice job with it. And
as I mentioned, his Pikes Peak run, I mean, that's the ultimate discipline, right? You can't go off track there. So we talk about how the grass has been lava here this weekend because it's been wet and slippery. I mean, he had a 1,000-foot cliff to not drive off of a few months ago, so that's probably helping him here as well. But into roller coaster again, Sal McNulty on defense here from Scott Thompson, and Ron Zaris in the 76 Ricca Autosport car, and there's some lap traffic up the road. That's Alan Grossberg, who I think has gone a lap or two down after his slip in turn 12.
Yeah, we talk about this being a big commitment, high consequent racetrack. I think Pikes Peak is the
ultimate
epitome of that, right?
And you don't get a lap 2 there. You don't get to try again either.
Here we go.
Scott Thompson closing in here on Sally McNulty. McNulty fades to the right. Back to center track here. Thompson in the mini JCW team car into turn 1. All closing up, accordioning back together in that first corner.
See Sally there just gauging where the position of that mini is into her brake zone, positioning the car nicely, giving a little bit of racing room here. You got to be aware if there's an overlap, you can't kind of swing out wide. We saw a big incident here yesterday in Fanatec GT with drivers not giving each other enough room. And look at this little compression in traffic. Scott is really looking for a way back by to grab that position.
Awkward way around the outside of the 63 at turn 5. I thought he might take the opportunity as Sally approached that 63 to drive down the inside at left hook, but really I think the patience there paid off, and he'll get to try again.
Yeah, I think he's quicker, but Sally's done a really nice job of resisting and staying calm here now. Zaris again, just suddenly lost some sort of power issue.
Same spot on the racetrack as well. Wonder if it's, I mean, you're really rough over those curbs over there, so whatever is ailing that 76 could be caused by those curb strikes and the quick back left, right. But it's unfortunate after having a decent run yesterday and really was about to get into the thick of this fight here for position number 7 on the racetrack. Pericarpi still leads in TC though, 11 minutes to go. And Jeff Ricca, that battle, I mean, that fire is really turned to embers right now. He needs to fire it back up.
Yeah, I mean, Christian's got a nice little gap there now, nearly a second, as you can see. And Jeff Ricca's last lap, it wasn't that bad, 3/10 off, but certainly Pericarpi's car looks good in this second phase of the race. Can he bring it home?
You know, you mentioned the tire deck that we've seen in the GT series, but maybe not quite to the same level in the touring cars. But is there opportunity for Jeff Ricca to slow down, cool off the tires, and go again if he got them hot?
There is, but you know, time's running out, right? We're now in the final quarter of this race, or approaching it, so he doesn't want to drift too far back. But I thought he was just sitting there. I thought his car was much quicker if he had just got to the point where he thought he wouldn't have to take off by 2 or 3 tenths per lap. But right now, Christian's showing the stronger pace.
They have gotten by Cooper Broll, interestingly, so I wonder if in that facilitation, if Ricca had lost some ground here, as we go back to Thompson and McNulty side by side for 4th in TC. And Thompson's got an overlap here on the outside touch, and the 66 spins. McNulty straight off course.
Yeah, I love to see that Sally's fighting for that position, but that will never work there in that corner, because when you're starting to turn in, the front's immediately going to start to wash out wide, and it's tough to coexist through the entry of that corner at this angle.
Yeah, side by side here, they're both clearly alongside each other, but just not enough space for two cars going for the same spot there.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen drivers think about it before here over the course of the weekend, but no one really try and go for it, and that's the consequence when you do.
Yeah, it's been a challenging spot, really been the trouble spot here this weekend, and she did get the tire bundles, and she has not been able to refire the car just yet. We've got 9 minutes to go. I think if we were to get a full course yellow, it would probably be unlikely we would get back rolling, given it takes 3 or 4 minutes to do a pace lap around here. Christian Pericarpi, either way, I think he's in good shape with the pace he's got.
Yeah, he's looking really strong here. Interesting to see if Ricker can rebound here over the final phase of the race. That last lap was a couple of tenths quicker, so there's still life in that Hyundai to try and make a move. See Christian there running right around the outside, running the cushion, and he seems to be comfortable with that. His safety car is now deployed to get Sally out of that impact zone. So there's a safe haven over there, so you might be able to just push her over here until the checkered flag comes out, but it's certainly going to shorten up this race, an opportunity for Jeff Ricker to make a move on Christian.
Yeah, and the leader is all the way at the south end of the course, so it's going to take at least a minute or two just to pick up the leader as far as the safety car is concerned. But full course yellow for the first time in this race, with 8 minutes and 15 seconds to go for a collision between the 66 of Scott Thompson and the 780 of Sally McNulty. And we'll maybe get a reset. Calvin, as you mentioned, it should be fairly easy to pull that car back. I don't think the tires were displaced all that much, so it should be a pretty quick cleanup.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she just hooked in, so those tire bundles are then wrapped, and sometimes you just get hooked into that and just, you know, whatever you're trying to do, and you're not getting a lot of grip if you're trying to reverse because the grass is so muddy there, so it's not like you can wrench the car free under normal dry circumstances, but
we'll see what the circumstances of this become with just 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go in TC America, powered by Skip Barber, as the championship battles continue to unfold for Chris Walsh, looking to extend his advantage after having an exceptional season. He continues to lead with just over 7 minutes to go. And let's check in with Amanda, who's down on the pit lane with more. What you got down there, Amanda?
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at this Karis Callis team, and I was reading Chris Walsh's website ahead of this weekend. And Calvin, you were talking about some of the experience that he's now getting racing in that Pirelli GT4 series as well. He's already updated his website to reflect that, but also talked about his experience that he's having in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo series as well, and talked about his dreams to the future. But one of the things that I loved that he said is, my passion in life is and always has been racing. I love everything about it. And as I showed you that shot of Tony Callis, he's one of the guys that has really taken Chris under his wing to watch these dreams come true. How important are finding these guys to help Chris on his journey?
well, I think if you talk to anyone who's had success in this sport, you don't do it alone. I mean, it's a support system. If you're a youngster, it typically comes from your family because racing is expensive. You can't be a teenager and just have the money to go out there and start testing and getting up to speed. So initially it's your family, but along the way, as you walk through your career, there'll be key moments and key people who you meet that give you the opportunity, and then they see the belief, or they have the belief in you to transfer you and take you to the next step. And I think with this Callis racing team, Chris is in a great spot right now.
Yeah, certainly they've got a great setup here with kind of a ladder into GT4 with the team here in the TC America Series, but has just done a lot with this opportunity. I think we'd look forward to seeing even more in the future in Pirelli GT4 America and beyond. And I think that's the great thing about the SRO in general here in North America and in Europe and elsewhere, Calvin, is the ability to come into what is effectively an entry-level series, but then work your way up to the fastest GT machinery in the country, which is really a stepping stone to everything. So, GT racing all over the world, all part of the SRO.
And I think within this...
Calvin, I was just going to ask you.
Following the safety car up here, the back straightaway, Madison Avenue, and I think hopefully we can get this restart going pretty quickly with under 5 minutes to go here.
Yeah, just
lights-
getting back to the ladder system. I mean, within this championship alone, you've got TCA to TC to TCX, and then obviously the next step, as we've already discussed, with Chris Walsh there making the move up to Pirelli GT4, then Fanatec GT. There's also GT America, which I think has been a wonderful championship for bronze-rated drivers to learn their craft in as well.
Well, lights are out on the Toyota GR Super safety car, so we're going to get a restart with 4 minutes to go, Calvin. What are we expecting to see in this last 4 minutes?
Well, Celso Neto realizes he's got his last opportunity here for Chris Walsh. He's got to be very determined here and really nail this restart, not give Celso the opportunity to make a move on these opening few corners.
Well, back down the hill through Hogpen into the VP acceleration zone. Chris Walsh is in command here. We're not ordered by class here. It's just the order that they caught the safety car. So we're back underway and restarting here at Virginia International Raceway. Celso Neto immediately getting by the TCA traffic. Christian Pericarpi defending. Here comes Jeff Ricca to the outside. Side by side down the front straightaway. 3 wide between the TCA traffic. And here comes Ricca into turn 1, Cal.
Look how aggressive Christian Pericarpi was there, willing to rub elbows there down this high speed front straightaway. Tried to use PJ Gronke there as a pick, Jeff Ricca did, but didn't quite work out.
Now it's Pericarpi on the outside of the 14, the leader in TCA. 2 leaders in 2 classes side by side through NASCAR Bend. Pericarpi clears the 14, and Garcia now splits the difference between the 2 TC leaders. Calvin, that's not great for the 78.
No, it is not, but that is how Christian Pericarpi is willing to put it all on the line every single moment of this race to grab this victory.
And now Garcia pulls over to the right. That will allow the 78 to pull through, but perhaps the damage has already been done. Had one opportunity to steal it, but it just didn't play out how the 78 needed it to go.
Yeah, I thought he had it at one point, but Christian just was unwilling to give it up. A little bit of a brush there, and I think that's what Jeff Ricca believed that Christian would be willing to do. Meanwhile, up front, as you talked about, Celso Neto had to clear the TCA car before he could go on the attack, and that may have saved Chris Walsh here in terms of threatening that lead.
Up Madison Avenue now with 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go. The TCA field getting closer together with all the cars that Garcia had to let by that allowed PJ Gronke to close in as Ruben Iglesias Jr. is working his way by the 62 car, the blue Mini, up on the backstretch.
Celso Neto is hanging tough there as we see them disappear up over that hill into the roller coaster.
We could have a battle in all 3 of our categories. All 3 class leaders are nose to tail now, varying car lengths between them. But we should be getting our white flag this time through, Calvin, and Celso Neto's just got to apply some pressure to the 104. It's rare that he makes a mistake, but he could.
Yeah, he certainly could. So we should be seeing the white flag here, I believe.
Across the stripe, I believe I saw that flying there. So down towards turn 1, Chris Walsh, Celso Neto. Finished the opposite way yesterday with Neto picking up his first victory this season in TC America.
Neto's digging deep. You could see him really squirming around there through the brake zone. He sent it through Hogpen, but did get a little bit wide. I'm not sure if he got the perfect exit speed off of that particular corner. And that's why it's so important to manage these races, even for Chris Walsh, with the healthy lead that he had, the pace that you're using and taking energy out of those tires. You've got to be ready for a scenario like this. But if there is a reset with just a few laps to go, you've got something left in the race car.
Through the snake section and up towards the climbing S's. About 6 car lengths between the 2 leaders in TCX and similar in TC. And Chris Walsh, again, had a very late restart. You can go effectively anywhere in that last corner once the safety car has gone back into the pit lane, and he held off the field. We've seen that a couple of times already this morning, Calvin, on the restarts. Late restarts giving you maybe a better jump than an early one sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's kind of trying to surprise your competitor. And the key, though, is to really have the rolling speed that has your car in the sweet spot with the torque and the gear ratio that you're going to accelerate and start that restart process with.
Yeah, if you have to get on the throttle and immediately go to the gearbox, then perhaps you're not fully maximizing your restart capability. But up towards roller coaster, Chris Walsh has had an exceptional season, Calvin. This is certainly no exception.
No, he's just been dominant force, great team, great car prep. perfect reliability record. He had that little miscue yesterday in missing the start time and late to his car, so he couldn't take his grid position, but nonetheless rebounded here today.
Chris Walsh yesterday, for the first time this season, didn't win a race. That was just a blip on the radar. He's back to his winning ways at VIR. Karis Kallis race team and Chris Walsh win in TCX. Celso Neto in second, and then in the TC fight, a bare-knuckle brawl all race long, but Christian Pericarpi and Mini JCW go back to victory lane at VIR over Jeff Ricca and the Ricca Autosport 78. Job well done there, and bearing some battle scars, the 14 of Alex Garcia sweeps the weekend in TCA into Skip Barber Racing School Honda Civic SI.
Yeah, a little bit crazy there for Garcia there. He's kind of swarmed by out-of-class cars there to make it a little bit more frantic there to get that win.
Merely a flesh wound on the left rear of that 14. And I wonder, I mean, PJ Gronke was close. He ended up 3 seconds back at the start-finish line. I wonder if they had maybe had a touch, because I think they were within 2 or 3 car lengths up Madison Avenue that one time. But either way, Karis Kallis race team and Chris Walsh, man, when they look at the wins column, it almost looks like the starts column. But after yesterday, it's not quite the same. But again, job well done by Celso Neto. Really, I think, kept in touch as best as he could today. Yeah,
and I think for Chris Walsh, I mean, it's one thing to just stamp your mark on the season. I think he'll look forward to maybe Celso giving him a harder run through the rest of this year, because you learn and you progress when you're pushed. He's doing everything right, but you never fail to find that little bit more if you really push to that next level, and maybe that'll be good for Chris to finish off the season on a high note, but with Celso a little bit closer to him. And in that vein, I mean, the next race is at Road America. It's a very different racetrack from VIR. Still very classic facilities, both built in the late 1950s, but their characteristics are so different. Road America's got a lot of those big, long power drags, but let's have a look at our race results for TC America, powered by Skip Barber Race 2. It's Chris Walsh who's back to victory lane in the 104 for Karis Kallis race team. Celso Neto and Cooper Brohl rounding out the podium in TCX. Then in TC, Christian Pericarpi beats Jeff Ricca in a great battle there all day long. Ruben Iglesias Jr. snags another podium. And Scott Thompson, Ron Zaris finishing 7th and 8th overall. Of course, Alex Garcia, PJ Gronke, and Alan Grossberg 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the TCA category, and Sally McNulty down in 12th with that 780, Calvin. But there still is some post-race review to be done between the 780 and 66. Yeah, but I think if anyone's going to draw a penalty, it would probably be Sally, and she's already at the tail end of the field with the damage to her race car, so I don't think it's going to change much in the results, but they'll still make that penalty announced if they feel it's justified. So as they roll back down the hill, some pretty fierce fights between the Ricca Autosport cars and the Mini JCW team, and it's really been a fun brawl to watch this season. We got a couple different flavors of it today with the leaders and the battle. Christian wanted it. I mean, Jeff's a great driver, and but I think in terms of the aggressive nature, Christian takes it to the next step, and it was rewarded here today. It got really dicey there with that restart in terms of Jeff really timing it perfectly, had the run. But Christian just dug deep, and then the move he made on Garcia too to really gap himself to Jeff for the finish of this race was impressive as well. And that restart was pretty exciting with PJ Gronke sandwiched on one side and the 78 on the other, and then of course Christian Pericarpi right up the middle, got mirrors touching cars at 100+ miles an hour down the front straightaway. It was Christian's first win of the season as well, so good to get that monkey off his back as he heads into Road America and Barber and Indianapolis, where he's had some success in the past as well. Yeah, and I think that Mini, in terms of the brake zones, you have more straight line braking at Road America versus what you encounter here, but there's also some long duration corners like the carousel, of course, where the Hyundai could have an advantage. So again, I think they could be pretty evenly matched over the complete lap. Well, I think he's going to be very excited about this. I got a chance to talk with him earlier this weekend, and he was so excited about the changes to the balance of performance that really gave him a car he felt like he could really compete with. And he told me that the advantages were going to come in not only the straightaways, but also in the corners. And I think we saw that on display. And that restart was really what sealed the deal. He could have lost that with any mistake. You see him jump up, the excitement. I told you he's excited. And that's awesome. Great to see. Yeah, now they're going to feed him. And Chris Walsh is heading off. I think he's got to start this next race. Oh, right. Yeah, because we've got Pirelli GT4 America
And so he's there's a great look there at Christian Pericarpi.
I think Amanda could do a post-race on the pre-race grid.
She probably could, yeah. But job well done. I mean, took full advantage of all those situations along the way in this 40-minute event and really put on a show for us as well. And dented the roof in as well. Oh, that's awesome. That's excellent. Well, let's head down and talk to Christian Pericarpi with Amanda. All the excitement.
And quite the excitement looking at Christian Pericarpi taking in this moment. I saw you with the fist pump inside the car there at the end with your team and your father by the guardrail to congratulate you. That move on Jeff Ricca, how did you set it up?
We went over a lot of video last night, right? We were pacing in most of the race yesterday, and that was the only place we capitalized yesterday, and I saw the gap, and I had to go for it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Had to try to get it done, and I can't believe we held him off. Finally, the BOP was in our favor this weekend, and we just capitalized. It's just very emotional, like all the seconds and thirds. And Road America last year, where we lost to him by not even a tenth of a second. Like, yeah, it's been amazing. I've just been a great group of people, surrounding myself around great people at home. It's just been good 2 months off, and coming here, I was motivated and ready to get it done. I knew what I had to do this morning. I told PJ that. I said, I know what I have to do, and it felt like a dream out there. I'm just so thankful to Mini USA for making sure I get to go drive a race car and have fun with all my friends and family. So, and thank you to everybody at the team and everybody that supports us.
A beautiful moment to take in with Christian Pericarpi. You guys remember we talked to his dad about some of the adjustments they made overnight. Not much, but said that Christian was hungry for that win. I bet he was starved for that moment over Jeff Ricca. And as we get to Alex Garcia, who has swept the weekend here at VIR, how is this going to be a turning point in your season?
I'm really looking forward to be a contender with the championship. So PJ's putting up a really great fight for it. So, it just makes it that much better to out there, earn it even more, and we had some good pace out here today, so just looking to do the rest for the rest of the season.
Congratulations to Alex, and you will see Chris Walsh's car behind me. He was the winner in TCX. You guys did see him running off to pit lane. I saw him finish that journey. The Pirelli GT4 race is up next, guys.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, very quick transition there for him. So out of one car and into the next, Calvin, but a very impressive drive.
Yeah, he made that mistake yesterday being late to the car. He wasn't going to do it today, so great performance, and he's going to be emotional sitting behind the wheel. Another race victory, but calm things down. Think about the start here for Pirelli GT4 coming up soon.
Let's have a look at the point standings here. TCX, Chris Walsh extends his advantage over Celso Neto. Cooper Broll there, P4 in the points, P3 in the race with 74. As there's a look at your TCX standings, but TC, this was the fight that we were following all day today, and Jeff Ricca still leads that championship. Ruben Iglesias Jr. just 8 points back, but Christian Pericarpi eaten into that advantage.
Yeah, he really has, and he's intense. I love it to see that, just the emotion and the passion, and these drivers live and breathe this sport, and they bring it to the racetrack.
And in TCA, it's been a really fun fight this year between PJ Gronke and Alex Garcia, but with Alex Garcia picking up his 4th win of the season, he's really having a solid season, could even challenge PJ Gronke for that. Let's have a look at the highlights from TC America Race 2. And at the start of the race, it was single file immediately as Chris Walsh tried to put some distance on the 22 of Celso Neto down towards turn number 1. The battle between Jeff Ricca and Christian Pericarpi immediately got hot as they were side by side for the first handful of sectors on the racetrack, door to door between the Mini and the Hyundai. Jeff tried to take it back at turn 3, couldn't do it. Alan Grossberg in the fence at turn 12 with a slip there. Scott Thompson and Sal McNulty battling for 4th in the TC category, were side by side. And then later in the race, as they were battling for position, Scott Thompson cleared her before a bit of drama caused Sally to take a ride through the grass up the climbing S's and sneak on through on a stricken Scott Thompson. On the restart after a full course yellow, Christian Pericarpi and Jeff Ricca banging doors past PJ Gronke on the restart. A tense, tight moment there behind some TCA traffic, but Pericarpi was able to pull on through. Chris Walsh, though, returning back to victory lane and wins another event here at VIR, continuing his championship run season. Christian Pericarpi, though, picking up the win in TC. Alex Garcia in TCA when we head to Road America next.